Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel, where we delve into the mind of a villain. In this entry, we'll be taking a look at Mewtwo, the antagonist in the first Pokemon movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, which subjectively could be argued to be the superior version. Driven by hatred of humans and a sense of superiority, Mewtwo's goal was to prove that it was the most powerful Pokemon and that humans should not have the right to rule over them. Much of its motivation arises from the existential crisis surrounding its introduction to the world. Mewtwo's life for most of the film was one marked by abuse, betrayal, and the search for meaning in life. Mewtwo was a clone of the mythical Pokemon Mew, created and grown in a lab as part of an experiment to create enhanced Pokemon. Through its telepathic abilities, the young Mewtwo was able to communicate with the other clone Pokemon and with a clone girl named Amber, who was meant to replace the deceased daughter of the head scientist. Even in its young stage, Mewtwo was innocently curious about its purpose, wondering who it was and what was its reason for existence. It formed a bond with Amber and led a carefree existence as she showed it that there was much beauty in the world. Unfortunately, that bond was short-lived, as Amber and the other clones could not survive the cloning process, leaving Mewtwo as the only survivor. So even in its formative years, Mewtwo had already gone through the traumatic experience of the loss of a friend. In her final moments, Amber's last words to Mewtwo was that life is wonderful, before she was cut off abruptly. And while the scientists managed to erase Mewtwo's memory of Amber, it's possible that the emotional weight of her death may have lingered in its mind, which may account for Mewtwo's solemn personality at birth. Amber's last words were still retained in Mewtwo's mind, reminding it that life is wonderful, but leaving it to wonder why. Eventually, when Mewtwo was fully developed, it broke free of its containment, and although it's fully grown and capable of intelligent communication, Mewtwo is still effectively a newborn baby, just introduced into the world. Naturally, Mewtwo is lost and confused, still wondering about who it is and what was its purpose. It must have quickly noticed that the humans do not resemble it and can't be its parents, and therefore it cannot relate to them. Mewtwo then learns from the scientists that it is a clone of the Pokemon Mew, created for the purpose of being the most powerful Pokemon. While this technically answers the question, it also raises more questions for Mewtwo like, am I only a copy? A shadow? Is that my purpose? To be a lab experiment? Mewtwo quickly realizes that the humans care nothing for it, and only seem to be interested in congratulating each other on their lab success. In its state of anger and confusion, Mewtwo destroys the lab out of discontent with its purpose of being a lab rat. It realizes that it's capable of great power, and that the humans are actually afraid of it. As the dust settles, Mewtwo would meet another influential figure in its life, Giovanni, leader of Team Rocket. Giovanni attempts to console the confused Mewtwo, promising that it would teach it to control its powers and to treat it as a partner, as a respected equal. Unfortunately, this proves to be just lip service, as Mewtwo learns that Giovanni is only exploiting its power. If it wasn't used in Pokemon battles, it was used for catching wild Pokemon to expand Team Rocket. This betrayal angers Mewtwo, and when it confronts Giovanni, he simply brushes it off, stating that it was created to serve and obey humans. So while Mewtwo is the antagonist of the film, it is also the movie's biggest victim. It was created as a tool. In all its life, it has had no happy moments. Its limited experience with humans involved nothing but cruel exploitation and objectification. With such a tragic background, it's no wonder that Mewtwo would have cause to despise humans, it breaks free of Giovanni's hold and goes on a period of self-reflection as it continues to contemplate its life purpose. After an unspecified period of wandering, Mewtwo figures out its life purpose. Having only been mistreated at the hands of humans, Mewtwo concludes that humans are not fit to be Pokemon's master and decides to liberate them from their enslavement. This it does by setting up a challenge on an island, where it invites the top trainers of the world to witness its ability as both a Pokemon and a Pokemon trainer. Due to its abusive upbringing, Mewtwo is cold and calculative. It now flips the tables on the humans by controlling Nurse Joy as its servant and discarding her when she is no longer useful. And while Mewtwo does not abuse its clones, neither does it show any positive relationship with them. When the trainers protest against Mewtwo's position as both a Pokemon and a Pokemon trainer, Mewtwo maintains that humans are dangerous and that Pokemon have disgraced themselves by serving humans. Pikachu attempts to correct Mewtwo's narrow experience by telling that it does not serve Ash, but that they are partners and friends. However, Mewtwo is unable to accept this concept and brushes it off as pathetic. Mewtwo also aims to prove that his clone Pokemon are superior, which would by extension also prove that it is superior. It is for this same reason that Mewtwo seeks to destroy Mew out of jealousy. For the sake of its self-esteem, Mewtwo finds no purpose in being remembered as just a clone. By attempting to beat Mew in combat, Mewtwo can prove to itself and to the world that it is the superior being. Mewtwo's end goal was to create a new world order, where both humans and Pokemon are exterminated, with only him and his clones left to populate the Earth. This would be the hour of his vengeance, as he proclaims. Eventually, the turning point for Mewtwo's psyche happens when it sees Ash risk his life to stop the fighting between the originals and the clones. The concept of a human showing affection to a Pokemon, let alone sacrificing himself to save them, is completely new to it. But what is more insightful is the response of Pikachu and the rest of the clones grieving over the loss of Ash and shedding their tears to revive him. Their relationship is the embodiment of the promise of partnership that Giovanni didn't uphold. Seeing the error of its ways, Mewtwo realizes that its purpose does not lie in being the strongest, and that its perception of Pokemon enslavement was misguided. In its own words, it says, "I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are." Overall, Mewtwo was a misguided villain, one that sought to rid the world of the injustice it faced at birth. Fortunately, this extremist worldview was challenged, giving it the freedom to seek out a higher purpose in life. So what do you think of Mewtwo, folks? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video, you can check out some of the other characters covered here.